What's the most life-changing phone call you ever received? Mine came on a Tuesday evening, and it wasn't even meant for me. I was home alone when my roommate's phone rang. He'd forgotten it leaving for his night shift. I ignored it, but when it rang again immediately, I thought it might be an emergency. The caller ID showed Dad, so I answered to take a message. But before I could speak, a voice said, "It's done. The money's in your account. Make sure you stick to the story we practiced." Then he hung up. I stood there, confused. My roommate, Jake, had told me his father passed away years ago. We'd been sharing an apartment for 8 months, but I realized I knew little about him beyond our casual conversations. He was a quiet guy who worked night shifts at a local warehouse, paid his rent, and kept to himself. That phone call changed everything. At first, I tried to convince myself there was an explanation. Maybe it was a prank, but something felt wrong. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2, I heard Jake come home and go straight to his room. The next morning, I mentioned someone called his phone. "Oh, who was it?" he asked. "Your dad," I replied. His expression flickered before he laughed. "Must be a wrong number. My dad's been dead for years, remember?" But there was something in his eyes that didn't match. I nodded, dropped it, but I couldn't shake unease. That afternoon, I was scrolling through news when a headline stopped me cold. Local businessman found dead in apparent suicide. The article mentioned the businessman, Robert Keller, had been under investigation for fraud. What made my blood run cold was the final line. "Police are seeking information on Keller's former employee, James Whitman, who may have relevant information." James Whitman, Jake's full name. I started connecting dots I hadn't even realized existed. Jake had mentioned working for a financial firm before his warehouse job. He'd suddenly quit about 6 months ago. Around the same time, he'd bought a new car despite supposedly taking a pay cut. That night, I heard Jake in his room, packing. I stood in his doorway and asked directly, "What did Robert Keller pay you to do?" He froze, then slowly turned to face me. "You need to forget what you heard," he said quietly. "It's complicated, and you don't want to be involved." "Did you help him fake his death?" I pressed. Jake's face hardened. Keller was stealing millions from clients. He was going to pin everything on me. I just took the money he offered to keep quiet about where he was planning to go. The next morning, Jake was gone. I found a note saying he was moving out effective immediately, with 3 months' rent in cash on the counter. 2 days later, the FBI knocked on my door. They'd been tracking Keller's communications and wanted to know about Jake. I told them everything: the call, Jake's reaction, our conversation. Within a week, they found Keller alive in Mexico. Jake had helped him fake his suicide in exchange for $500,000. The FBI agent called me a month later. They'd arrested Jake trying to cross the Canadian border with a fake passport. Because of my information, they were able to recover nearly $12 million that would be returned to the victims of Keller's Ponzi scheme. Many of them were retirees who had lost their life savings. The agent told me, "Your decision to come forward saved dozens of families from financial ruin." Jake is now serving 8 years for his role in the scheme. I received a letter from him last month that simply said, "You should have minded your own business." But I don't regret answering that phone. Sometimes the most life-changing calls aren't meant for you at all. I've since moved to a new apartment, but I still think about how different things would be if I just let that call go to voicemail. Those few seconds of conversation revealed a truth that saved innocent people from financial devastation and brought 2 criminals to justice. I guess the lesson is that sometimes being in the wrong place at the right time is exactly where you're supposed to be.